Ceci n'est pas une chanson, ne pas du tout, ne pas du tout, ne pas du tout. Non, ceci n'est pas une chanson, ne pas du tout, ne pas du tout.
Добрым утром.
Привет, привет.
Еда возле барной стойки и с собой гораздо дешевле, чем посидеть. Правда?
Я не хочу.
Такая чудесная булочная. Только так. Их же снимать можно? Valentin?
Yes.
It's easy to guess who's the guy, right?
He has his big vest on, yeah.
So as you can see, the Louvre isn't open on Thursday. On Tuesday, I hope you're not. You wouldn't like thinking about going there today or anything inside the Louvre, visiting the museum.
Maybe tomorrow, maybe today.
Okay. Bonjour, merci. So every time I do ask people, why do we start here at this specific spot, just at the feet of this statue? And how long this statue has been here, do you think?
A while.
This is the just a straight line through the arc, through the circle, and
You're
then
coming
through
to
the.
something.
Yeah, we just we
We're
heard
just
about that.
listening to the other guy, right? Yeah.
And you were right, we're here because of the good vision, which starts with Arc de Carousel in the foreground. This place, this arch, was built in 1809, so it was 3 years after the starting of the construction of the Arc de Triomphe. You could think it was the other way because the Arc de Triomphe is way bigger, but it was the opposite somehow. And the Arc de Carousel was a war memorabilia from Napoleon and all his victories across Europe. And so here is, I think, the weirdest subway entrance of Paris. You may never know that it was a subway entrance, I'm pretty sure. And it has been built in 2000. It was made for the centenary of the subway. So if it was made in 2000 for the centenary of the subway, when was the subway built? And it was created by Jean-Michel Otoniel, who's a French artist, and it is made out of Murano glass. I'm really not sure it does fit into Paris. It will be perfect in Barcelona, I guess, but it's really nice to have it because it's just between La Comédie Française and on the other side you have which is the shop with the green banner. And this place is the oldest shop selling tobacco in Paris. As it is written on the right, it has been founded in 1716. So it has been open for more than 300 years now. It's really nice inside, it's almost like a museum, even if you don't smoke, which is my case. It's really just funny to see like all those things you could smoke with. And then you have La Comédie Française. If you've been dreaming of becoming an actor since you were a child, this is the place you will end up in. La Comédie Française is mostly renowned. So here we're right in the honor square of Palais Royal. As I was saying, this place has been built by Cardinal Richelieu. He was the Prime Minister under Louis XIII. They wanted to be really close to the king, so you couldn't be closer than this from the Louvre, I guess, a few hundred meters. So it was really convenient for him. And when Cardinal Richelieu died in 1642, he didn't have any daughters or son because he was a religious man. And he gave the place to Louis XIV, who was a king at the time, who was only a child. And when Louis XIV became an adolescent, he decided that the place was a bit too small for him, so he decided to move to the Louvre. And when he was an adult, he decided that the Louvre wasn't big enough for him, so he decided to build Versailles outside of Paris. I have to say, yeah, it's not only because it was too small, it was also mostly because when Louis XIV was a child, a lot of people, because he was a king, were trying to influence him and to make his politics for him instead of him. And he wanted to be far from all those people from the court and wanted to go to Versailles for those reasons. So he was able to control everything about policy in France. And when Cardinal Richelieu died and then Louis XIV moved out, the place was owned by the king's brother. And at the time of the revolution, so at the time of Louis XVI, the place was owned by the king's cousin called Philippe d'Orléans. And Philippe d'Orléans wanted to be closer to the revolutionary people at the time of the revolution because it was really convenient to try to save your lives that way. So he changed his name from Philippe d'Orléans to Philippe Égalité. Égalité means equality in France, so kind of a tiny change. And there was a vote to decide in 1793 to decide if the king and the queen should be beheaded or not. And the thing is, passed because of one vote, and this vote was made by Philippe d'Orléans, and the vote was to kill the king and the queen. And a few months later, there was another vote to decide if Philippe d'Orléans should be beheaded himself, and he got beheaded in the end. So it is kind of the moral of the story. Do not try to kill your family to save yourself. It doesn't work in the end. And about Palais Royal, you have to know that it was really popular because it was royal property. It meant that the police wasn't authorized in the area. And because the police wasn't authorized to enter the place, there was a lot of gambling circles, a lot of bars as well, a lot of prostitution over there. And one of the main attractions of Palais Royal at the time of the construction, so in 1789, it was Café Mécanique. Café Mécanique was a pretty weird place because they didn't have any waiters or waitresses. You had to write your order on a piece of paper and send it through an hollow-fit just beneath the table. It went through the hollow-fit to the kitchen beneath the ground, where they were able to prepare your order and then put it on the plate. And then they used the lift to bring back the plate onto the top of your table, so it was really magical. You didn't see anyone or anything, and it was just in front of you. And I guess it was really costly to just run Café Mécanique because it was open for only 3 years. It closed in 1792. And one of the other main attractions of Palais Royal was because of all the gambling circles. So it was in 1936 that a law was voted in Paris saying that it was illegal to gamble or to have any kind of casinos or gambling circles in Paris. And in a few months, pretty much everyone left and just flew out of Palais Royal. This is why it is so quiet and so beautiful as well. And about this Honor Square and all those weird pillars, you have to know that it was built in 1989. And before that, it was only a parking lot. So we didn't lose everything. But even if it was a parking lot before, it was really controversial to build this place. You have to know that it's really hard to build something new in Paris. There's still an association asking for the removal of the Eiffel Tower. So you have to really focus on it. And this place was built by a Belgian artist called Buren. Buren is really famous for one thing. He only works with straight lines, as you can see, black and white stripes. And it was mostly because Jacques Lang was the Minister of Culture and Communication at the time, and he was kind of close to Buren as well. In front of us is the Ministry of Culture and Communication, so it was really convenient to be able to see it from the minister's office as well. And Jacques Lang is really famous in France because of one thing. He's the minister that created Music Day. I don't know if you've heard about Music Day in France. It is on the 21st of June, on summer day, and everyone is invited to go out or sing or play an instrument. And because everyone is invited to do so, a lot of people that do not know how to sing or how to play an instrument still go in the streets. So you have to know where to go before you go out. And Jacques Lang is also right now running Institute, which is one of my favorite museums in Paris as well. If you have a chance to go there, they have one of the best views of Paris. They have a terrace on the 9th floor, and you will be able to see the back of Notre Dame de Paris, the Eiffel Tower, the Angelus of la Bastille, and
Только не надо ее. О, нет, светло. 50 евроцентов. Маня. Ты загадала?
Да.
Молодец.
Jérôme and the butcher, the guard of the resistance, and the two of them decided to build a covered passage. It was really convenient for the people at this time because you have to imagine that the street of Paris weren't that nice. It was a bit muddy, it was also really smaller, and there were a lot of carriages, a lot of horses, so if you wanted to stay clean during the whole day, it was really complicated. And this is why they decided to create a place where you will be able to have restaurants, so to eat and to shop at the same time, so you didn't have to worry about anything, just spend the whole day was there. It was kind of the first mall in France, somehow. And at the time there was 100 covered passages like this one, and now there's only 17 of them left. It's mostly because in the 1860s in France something called electricity arrived. It was really costly to change all the gas lamps and the system inside the covered passages, so most of the owners decided just to smack down the place and build something new instead. And this one is mostly renowned right now for one reason. At the end of the passage is the first Louboutin shop that opened, so you're going to have a lot of beautiful shoes in the end, but expensive as well. I don't know, maybe because it's Fashion Week there will be more people trying to buy the shoes than people trying to sell the shoes, but usually it's not the case. And then there's one of my favorite bookshop in Paris. I do not understand a word of the books which are inside because they're only in German. But it's only 3 meters large. The owner is, I guess, between 80 and 90 years old. So he pretty much opens whenever he wants. And you just push the door and it's like piles of books everywhere. You're gonna see it's really, really, really small. And there's one of the funniest stairway as well. And you also have a really nice restaurant, French traditional food. Pretty much everything is really expensive in the passage except the restaurant. So you may go there after the tour. And also try to remember to keep your head up because a lot of beautiful paintings about Greek mythology. You can have Harvest Season, Mercury, a lot of stuff inside. Then you can just walk through the passage.
Seems to be ancient.
It was really fun because last time there was a man renewing the font on the window display. So I thought that it was only stickers, but it was doing by hand. It was really nice to see that people were able to write so easily and so beautifully as well. Yeah, this is the shop I was talking about. French book this time, so you can actually
Замерзла? вам вида, в этой церкви несколько раз в месяц проходят рок-концерты. Говорят, что классная акустика.
In front of you is a restaurant called À la Cloche des Halles. This big bell is a cloche in French, and the tradition was when Les Halles were still a market, at 7 a.m. in the morning, the big bell was ringing. It was the announcement that it was the end of the workday, and everyone was invited to go and have breakfast. And by breakfast, I mean big steak and a glass of wine. But it was pretty much okay before because it was the end of their workday, so for them it was dinner. But do not try to have a big steak and big glass of wine in the morning in Paris. No one is doing it. If you're looking for restaurants, this one is actually really good too. The decoration is really cheap, but the food is really great. How Paris looked like before the renovation of the capital. You have to know that in the 1850s there was a really big renovation. It was mostly made by Baron Haussmann. Baron Haussmann was a prefect under Napoleon III. And starting in the 1853, there were a lot of six-floor buildings that popped up in Paris. And this is why there are so many beautiful buildings, but it is also why there are not a house left in the inner districts of Paris. And all the less wealthy people, the popular classes, they have been pushed away from the first, second, etc., etc., to the 18th, 19th and 20th district, which are still the more popular districts of Paris. And this is why we have also a lot of really big boulevard and avenue. It is because of Baron Haussmann. He didn't really mind about the fact that there were houses and just went through it to construct a big avenue. And if you want just know way more on Baron Haussmann, there's a really nice exhibition right now at Pavillon de l'Arsenal. Pavillon de l'Arsenal is just on the other side of the bank when you're in the Art Institute. It is near Bastille as well. And the exhibition is free. You're gonna see how Paris was formed, like as a urban city and urban space. A lot of comparison with Chicago, Barcelona, a lot of stuff. It's really nice to do it with a guide because there's really a lot of information. There's a lot of numbers, a lot of different prints and charts. You can see them crafting the glasses that are this way. So it's 700 euros. Oh, look at that.
10,000. Oh,
Видел саму маленькую галерею в Париже? Ты понял, что это самая маленькая галерея?
We were on the other side.
Да, мы вернулись, понял? Куда нас
С другой стороны.
Наверное, тоже выложили сбоку.
Кажется, я вижу. Или нет, не вижу. розовую жилеточку. Женя, очередь какая, слышишь?
Да ладно, это очень.
Ну да. Вон он.
My everyday life was Parisian in the subway during rush hour, and you know how they look, they're all like that. And at this time I started to think that people are not nice in general, you know. So that's why I'm really glad with this job, because look at you guys, happy to be here, you know. I don't know how you look when you go to work every morning, maybe you look like a zombie, but right here, right now, you look perfect. So thank you very much for that, guys.
Thank you too.
What time? Yeah, perfect, we can start the tour now. Enough about me. For now, we will see later.
Zombie.
Because I like to speak about me a lot. Huh? So, yeah, but this tour sadly is about the Cathedral Notre Dame, not about me. And Cathedral Notre Dame is very, very famous. Of course, it's a very, very interesting example of architecture. Why Cathedral Notre Dame is so famous? Because you know it's not the tallest cathedral in Europe. Even in France, if you go to the city of Strasbourg in the east of the country, you can find a way taller cathedral than this one. Or if you go to the city of Rouen in the north of the country, you can find a way taller cathedral than this one. So why this one is so famous? It's famous for being the finest example of Gothic architecture from the 12th century in Paris. Okay? It's the oldest Gothic building in Paris. Okay? The construction started in 1163. And at this time, of course, people had no machine to build this. They used only hoist and pulley made of wood and ropes and the strength of their arm. So because of that, you can imagine it lasts for a very long time to build this. Actually, it lasts for more than 200 years. Okay? And even after 200 years, it was not totally finished. Only the main part, the main structure was finished in the middle of the 14th century. Okay? There was many steps after that, but the main structure was finished in the middle of the 14th century, and when it was finished in the middle of the 14th century, it was not the biggest church, but the biggest monument, the tallest monument in all Europe. Tallest monument. Okay, so this is of course the main gate of the cathedral here, and on the main gate the decoration is about the Last Judgment. Everybody know the Last Judgment, you know, when it will be time to decide who deserves to be sent in hell and who deserves to be sent in heaven. Okay, so that's why, okay, let's start with an easy one. You see on the top of the arch, you have this guy showing his hands like that. Any idea who is this guy? Jesus. Yeah, very good, exactly, it's Jesus. Last week, someone answered Jay-Z. I said, no, it's not Jay-Z, like maybe Jay-Z. It's also a very famous guy, but it's Jesus. And Jesus is showing his hands like that, not because he's saying hello to the people, but because he's showing the stigmatas, you know, the wound he received because of the crucifixion on each hand. That's why on each side of the Christ you have these two angels that are holding the tools of the crucifixion. You see on the left side there's an angel is holding the spike, which meant the wound he received here while he was crucified. And on the right side another angel is holding the cross of the crucifixion, of course. On the left side there's a woman praying like that. Everybody sees this woman praying?
Yes.
Virgin Mary, of course, mother of the Christ. And on the right side, another guy is praying in this direction. It's Saint John the Baptist, the first follower of the Christ. Okay? More interesting, in my opinion, look at the big rectangle full of people just above the gate. Everybody sees this big rectangle. On each side, you have two angels holding trumpets. Everybody sees these two guys. The rectangle just above the gate. Each side you have two angels holding trumpets. Everybody sees these two angels? Yeah, these two guys are here to announce the Last Judgment. Okay? With their trumpet, they want to wake up the dead people to bring their soul in front of the Last Judgment. So that's why you see these guys in the center of the rectangle. They are all getting out from the grave. Everybody see that? The guys getting out from the grave? You remember the video clip of Michael Jackson Thriller when they get out from the grave? This is the medieval version of Thriller, okay? And Michael Jackson was not the first one to think about it. You know? They did it way before. They are probably going to dance like that just after, I'm sure about it. Or better than that, sorry. So more interesting, in this rectangle, you have to notice that all these guys getting out from the graves, they are all different kind of people. You see, if you look on the left side, everybody know what is a gargoyle? You see, the gargoyles are this kind of monster. It looks like they come from the woods to attack you.
Yeah, that's where we were.
So the gargoyles, they have two functions. The first function is a simple technical function. It was to evacuate the water from the roof when it was raining. It's like gutter. That's why they have open mouth, is to project the water far from the wall when it's raining, because water can damage the walls. Actually, the name gargoyles come from this function, because when it's raining a lot, but a lot, they are doing this strange noise, like glou, 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 glou. They are gurgling their blood. It comes from that. In French, gargouiller, the verb is gargouille, the noun.
Гид рассказал историю, что в здании
So, actually, this is where I have a meeting with the butcher. We have Can you wait 5 minutes, please? Now, so I like to show this street. The name of this street is Rue des Chantres. Chantres is a very old French word. That's why you have this green statue at the bottom. Everybody see the green statue at the bottom of the spire?
Yes.
Yeah, so you can see the modern car in the medieval street. It's not working very well. Yeah, so these green statues are divided into. So they are green because they are made of copper. Around 1100, here was living a very important religious guy in Paris. He was the religious guy number one, basically in Paris. Fulbert was his name. And he was living in this building with his niece, Eloise, this woman right here. Eloise was a young, beautiful, smart woman. She was only 20 years old, and she was already speaking Latin, Hebrew, and Greek, okay, which was really rare at this time. And she wanted to study more, but of course at this time it was forbidden just for women to go to school. But Fulbert, the strict but loving uncle, he decided to hire the personal teacher. Well, I'm always imagining like a 20 guy with rifle and just good.
Хочешь покататься?
So, I like to come here. I really like to show the cathedral from behind, because I think it's very beautiful, this side.
Сторону. Могут что?
Подраться.
Чего? Подраться?
Ну, кто
Не, ну у них же
хочет.
поделено все типа.
Ну, значит, есть какие-то